You got the sexy, elegant pups, though. You know, it's cute. You know.
Mine's not jet lag. Mine's called a almost 4-year-old that won't sleep well through the night. Workflows is a podcast about saving you time and money in your photography business. As a photographer and content creator who struggles with dyslexia, color blindness, introversion, and anxiety stemming from years of being bullied as a child, workflows have been my rock. I have workflows for every aspect of my life, and that's why I'm so happy to bring you Workflows, a podcast presented by Imagine. As a company dedicated to saving you time and money in your photography business, it makes sense to enhance and expand the conversation to all things workflows. Tune in and subscribe to hear stories, strategies, and tools that could be your rock. Hear from people just like you. Put the camera down for a little, connect the headphones, and get to work with Workflows. Get in on the conversation by joining the Imagine community today. Imagine the possibilities. Will Cadena is a photographer who combines a modern, edgy look with traditional photography. His experience has given him the knowledge of traditional photography and the skills to know when and how to break those traditional rules and deliver a whole new look to his images without retouching. He has been a member of the PPA and WPPI for many years and has been photographing clothing campaigns, high-profile events, and much more for over a decade in the USA and worldwide. As Will continues to grow as a photographer, he is also growing as an educator and an influential part of the photography community. He was once B&H's featured photographers. He says paying it forward is as important of a role for more seasoned photographers. He often talks about how he continues to attend workshops because there is always something to learn. For this reason, he truly enjoys and values his opportunities to speak for some amazing companies in amazing places, sometimes virtually. His inspiration comes from all around him as he loves to travel, dance, learn many styles of hand-to-hand combat, including Sistema and Krav Maga, and seek out new adventures all the time. Without further ado, here's my conversation with my new friend, who I've gotten to know over the past few weeks. I'm very grateful for, Will Cadena. Hey, Will, what's going on?
I am doing great, man.
It's like I didn't even ask that question yet.
Yeah, you only asked me like 4 times, but yes,
Yeah.
I'm doing exactly what I said about 10 seconds ago. I am doing
Yeah.
great. Doing great.
Oh boy. So we are recording this the end of May, and this episode is likely going out either July or August. So we've got some time, just so you know, that there's going to be a nice gap from between when this actually is recorded and when it actually airs.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So we are publishing one every month for the time being, and making them really juicy, educational episodes. So everybody's going to walk away with some good nuggets of juice for their brain. And you have lots of good nuggets of juice to share. So I'm very excited about this conversation.
Lies. These are lies. I know what you're talking about. Who paid you? It might have been that drunken night. I paid you to get me on your interview. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
So my first question for you is, what is one thing you do for the photographic process, in the camera, behind the camera, that has saved you time?
All right, let's rephrase that. On site or like in post?
On site, in camera, like, you know, you're behind the camera, you're setting up the lights, whatever it is on site that saves you time.
Most important, just making sure your gear is 180% ready to go, 110%, making sure your gear is tested, making sure whatever your exposure you're going to be photographing is 110. So before we even bring in any clients at all, I'll either have one of my assistants or I'll set something up there in front of my camera and whatever angle, wherever my lighting is, and I'll take a 1 or 2 test shots. The first test shot I'll do, I'll make sure I have it. The second one will be like the final. for me, it's important to also have a light meter depending what kind of job criteria I'm doing. So obviously for a wedding is a little bit different because it's very high, very fast paced, and we really don't have time to really meter things. But when it comes to commercial jobs, assignments in that way, definitely we light meter everything. We make sure it's 110, and from there we also take a test shot with one of our assistants. And also we also, do a little bit more of the homework in who we're photographing, because also skin tones play a very big part in that. So whatever exposure you originally got might slightly change on the skin tone of the person you're photographing. And also, depending on what they're wearing and the makeup. So that plays a lot of different elements. But going back to your question, making sure your exposure and your gear is 110, because once you have everything set, now you can focus all your energy on your subject that you're photographing and really tailor certain things to the criteria that they originally hired you for, or you want to, capture for yourself for your portfolio.
Yeah. I can't tell how many times that I've made that stupid mistake of like not reformatting the cards before a session, and then like I'm in front of the client and then I have to reformat the cards, and it's like, it takes 10 seconds to do, but at the same time it's like I don't want to think about this right now. So
So the night before, do it. Like it takes literally 2 to 5 minutes to do all that. Double check, like set up a checklist. I have a checklist. You don't have to get anything crazy. A piece of paper and a pen, or if you're a little bit techie, get like Google Google Forms or Google Sheets, and just do a little checklist. That will save you so much time and stress, because as we all know, sometimes the hardest part of getting to the job is getting to the job. Depending on traffic and things always happen. There hasn't been one job that I've been to that it's like perfect. So. So just taking that stress and taking that peace of mind out of your head will save you so much time and BS. So that's a piece of a tip. It's a big nugget, and that's something I learned from other commercial photographers that I used to study under. So seeing how they work as a whole unit, and every team member has a certain job criteria. So that played a very big part, because as we all know, we're artists and we like to just do everything. Realistically, you can't do everything. So if you want to see your business grow dramatically, or if you want to focus on different aspects of, building that sector, you need to delegate the responsibility. So that's, for me, it's really important for my team members to do certain things in order for me to execute or exceed my clients' expectations.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So then moving on to the business side of things, what is one thing you do for the business that saves you either time or money?
The business part, I've really started falling more in love with, and maybe in the last 6 to maybe 7 years, I believe it or not. I feel like these days, if I had to like put it in some kind of percentile during the week, I'm probably photographing maybe 20 to 25% of the week, and the rest is all business. So for me, it's really staying in contact with the clients, really listening to them, taking in what they're saying, but also most importantly, guiding them to where they want to be. Because realistically, as we all know, majority of clients, they want this elaborate, assignment. It could be, let's use a wedding client for an example, because I'm sure they photograph weddings. Client wants these cool hero shots, and they want to go to, let's say, for example, they want to go, I don't know, they want to go to Paris for one day, and they want to come back to New York to do the other part of the wedding. That's not a realistic goal. It's not a realistic timeline during the day. So this is where you have to bring them down to reality and guide them. I'm like, hey, we cannot do that. What we could do, there's a little place in the city that kind of looks like Paris. We could go there and photograph you guys. So, but what I recommend, we could do something maybe a few weeks after the wedding or a few weeks before the wedding. We could go to Paris, spend 2 or 3 days there, enjoying some wine, having some amazing food. And on top of that, your guests are going to be blown away on some of these cool shots that we did in Paris. So it's kind of like getting them excited, still fulfilling their vision to a certain degree, but also letting them know, like, hey, there's other opportunities that we could still photograph you down the line, not just as a wedding client, but also as maybe a forever session, kind of like an engagement shoot, but it's a post shoot for themselves. And they could do something like that every year, whether it's locally around their neighborhood or on a destination location. So we actually do that a lot. So our wedding clients really become our family clients, and which it leads into medical field shoots, corporate shoots, commercial jobs. So everything leads into something. So that for me, that's a key factor. So yeah.
Expectations.
Expectations.
It really is. It is everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. It's beyond. It's like being in a relationship. Let's put it this way. Let's bring it back. It's being in a relationship, right? So that's how you have to look at it. In a mutual, spouse partnership, girlfriend, boyfriend, transgender, whatever it is. In the end of the day, it's making sure you guys are both on the same page. And I understand there's a contract is signed, and I'm a little bit more old school, meaning I'm the kind of person, I'll shake your hand, and whatever I said I'm going to do, regardless of what it says on the contract. And if you're nicer, or if you're down to earth and you recommend a business, I'm going to do even more for you. So yeah, exceeding those expectations plays a very big part for me. So, but yeah, exactly. Exceeding expectations. So
awesome.
That's the goal. Yeah.
So then let's move on to the editing part of the process. What is one thing you do for editing that has saved you time?
Oh my God. So many different things. Obviously on site, making sure everything's 110%, making sure you shoot it's on the money. Mm-hmm. We have technology these days that our cameras could actually pretty much see exactly where you're shooting. And when I say pretty much see, even though you're looking at a proxy or like a small JPEG file on your LCD, but you already know if it looks great on your screen, it's definitely gonna look even better when you download that photograph. So that's one. Two is once we download everything, we import everything into Lightroom, which is one of our workflows. And from there, we take advantage of what's it called? This amazing software that we all love and we cherish and we love to death and we're happy to subscribe to it every year. What's it called? See, what's it called?
I'm pretty sure it's called Imagen.
Yeah, it's called Imagen. So imagine you downloading everything, and imagine your stuff is getting edited, within a matter of what? It could be minutes, and it could probably be which is insane. So imagine that. So for me, Imagen has played a very big part in our workflow. It's kind of hard for us to go back to, doing it on our own. It's like a no-brainer. So especially when you have a client that needs something ASAP. We all have those clients that need something like yesterday. So yeah, we definitely embrace the crap out of that. So awesome. Am I allowed to say crap?
Yeah, sure. Sure.
Yeah. So yeah. But what is your workflow? I'm curious to know your workflow. As
my
a person
workflow.
That use it. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, my own photography shifted during the pandemic. Shifted from families and headshots and cake smash sessions for 1-year-olds to basically proposal sessions and family sessions. Majority are proposals, and so my workflow and my photography is a part-time side business, because I have my full-time job. So I don't have a big elaborate workflow like a lot of full-time professionals do, because I don't need it anymore. But editing wise, I mean, I'm running everything through Imagen as well, and doing whatever final adjustments need to be made for the client. But otherwise, it's a pretty straightforward, fast thing for me. But this isn't about me. This is about you.
Well, I'm curious to know about you, man. I mean, this is conversation. Is it? We can do a podcast and listen to all these photographers talk. But it's one thing. It's cool because we get to listen to what you're doing, and you see and you speak to other photographers. Maybe you pick nuggets from them. Then you can apply things to your workflow.
Right.
So yeah, I'm asking you a question. You're important as well. So there, okay, embrace it.
Yeah. Sure.
It's embrace it.
It's for me it's very straightforward. I want to get as much done in camera just like you as I possibly can. So typically whenever I have an editing issue, for example, it's when my wonderful Godox strobe doesn't fire correctly or it's supposed to. I have a love-hate relationship with my Godox strobes. I love them because they're affordable and can pack a punch, but I don't like them because they misfire a lot. So
it's a balance. It's a balance.
Yeah, there's definitely a balance there.
It's a double-edged sword.
But it is interesting that Imagen's the software actually edits misfires, and they look exactly like the ones where the strobe fired.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, except for like a missing, rim light or fill light or whatever. But exposure wise, it matches it up pretty darn good. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Do you guys have any behind the scenes shots of that? Like the video, you can make like a 30-second clip. What happens? Because that'd be
Yeah.
interesting to see.
I
Wow.
demoed it on a webinar last night actually to a group of Australian photographers, and the reaction was pretty much what you would expect.
Really?
Like how's that possible? But it does it.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, we haven't had that issue. Yeah, that's crazy. I'm interested in seeing that. That's good to know. I mean,
You're also using lights that are very consistent.
yes, we're using lights that are very consistent and very powerful lights. So yeah. Yeah. For me, at the end of the day, just like anything else, man, when you get to a certain part of it, doesn't matter your career, your life in general. You just don't want to deal with the BS. And look, I used several different systems for certain kind of job criteria. It's no different from wearing, you're not going to wear hiking boots to a gala, or you're not going to wear dress shoes to go on hiking. Everything, there's a tool for everything. And that's one of the beauty parts about being in this industry. There's so many amazing tools to use. So, I feel like we're in the industry, like just because they're using this, you have to use it. It's find out what works for you and apply it. If it's going to hinder what you do in order to exceed your clients' expectations for them to pay you your rate and also leading to referrals, make that investment. It's not going to hurt you much, or if you really think about it, it's going to actually benefit you long term. Yep. So I think that's a key factor. But yeah, hopefully it works out for you with your system.
It's been good. I do. I don't normally fire my strobe too fast.
Okay.
But I guess sometimes it just doesn't want to go. So I don't know. It is what it is.
Yeah. Unless you're shooting I don't know, sports photography, or if someone's walking into the room real quick. That would be an issue,
of course. Yeah, I'd have to switch.
Yeah, I don't, but that's like another thing. Why would you want to have so many photographs of the same exact pose or same exact, location? That, again, just like anything else, it comes with time, and people realize, I don't have to really shoot that much because I already know they're not going to buy, or I'm going to spend a lot of time in post-production. But so that's something to consider. So what's the next question? Come on.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
All right. So
I'm fast. I'm fast. And I have no energy drinks and no coffee yet. I need some coffee.
It's almost 1 o'clock. Are you back home? So you're in my time right now, right? We're in the same time zone?
I am. Yeah. Now I'm in the time zone. I was in LA. Right. It's been going like crazy nonstop. But yeah, good thing this is a podcast, because I got these bags. I don't got cute bags like this guy over here, but I gotta cover them up.
Okay, so what is, on that note, what is one thing that you do after a session has completed? The session's done. What is one thing that you do after the session that has increased business?
One thing has done that increased business.
Some people talk about referrals. Yeah. Some people talk about upsells.
So, yeah, I mean, what makes it, and I mean, it's a good question, because for what I do personally in my company, and it's not just myself, I have multiple team members that work for us. Mm-hmm. We do so many different genres: weddings, corporate, commercial work, family portraits, maternity session. So obviously there's a workflow for everything. And this is no different from the workflow that we have with you guys. I can't just use, one profile for example, bodybuilding profile to use for a wedding. It just doesn't make sense. And or a wedding used for the fitness stuff that we do. So creating different profiles play a very big factor in it. I honestly just look for, if I want to go do a family portrait, right then and there, we'll photograph it. We're tethering. I really recently got into tethering the last few years ago. It's been a game changer for our business. It's no different from headshots. Once you tether, everything's already in the computer. I have a tech person on site. They're filtering the images that we feel that is not the best. because we always want to have the clients look at the images that they love. And from there, we run a quick process through, through the Imagine software. I'll keep wanting to say imagen-ai, which is not imagen-ai anymore, right? So
yeah, by the time that this episode airs, we will just be called Imagine. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna keep on saying Imagine. All right. So Imagine quickly it will process those images real quick. So when we're done with that session, we usually take maybe a 30-minute to 40-minute break in between that time frame. Sometimes an hour, and we like to schedule these sessions. There's like a little lunch break or maybe like a little dinner break. We order food in. So when the food comes out, everyone could relax. They could talk about, the session, could talk about each, ourselves, just getting to build that rapport with them even more, even though that rapport is already built way before they shoot. So when we go into the session, they're really comfortable. Once we're done, and that's when we set up the viewing and ordering session. And from there, that's where they make the selections for their wall art pieces, any kind of prints that they want to gift to anyone. And we find out all this information, like whose birthdays are coming up, is mom's birthday, or then from there we also design an album for them right then and there on site, so it gets them really excited. Once we're done with that, they actually literally all they have to do is take out their credit card and make a purchase. So, and they also get all the pricing, by the time they book, they get all the pricing in hand. So they already know what they're going to be expecting to pay. So there's no misunderstanding, and, and also, you let them know what's the process. I'm sure a lot of people, which I see when I teach, is the biggest issue is they have clients that don't want to pay, or they become a little bit more reserved in what they want to spend after. And the reason why is because you're not mentally preparing them for it. Yeah. And also, and everyone has a certain budget, and we have to be, it's okay. It's okay for them not to spend, or for you not to make your average. So majority of my clientele, they usually know they're going to be spending X amount of money more. And I'm constantly during the whole process. So for example, if I have a client that hired us to do a family session in Naples, which let's say next month, I'm going, they already know beforehand that they're going to be upgrading no matter what. And I'm already visualizing where that possible wall art piece will go in their home. So I'm also purposely photographing that, I'm putting that in their heads. So when I photograph everything, I'm going to redesign everything to showcase that on their wall. So now it's going to be really hard for them. Every time they pass that area around their home, they're going to visualize that piece of wall art. So when it comes to the session, it's pretty much 9 out of 10 times they're going to buy it. So yeah, I mean, that's really more of, making those sales, building those relationships, and there's no BS. There's never like, oh, well, Will, you never told me that. Oh, Will, you never sent me that. Will, I never saw that in the fine print. No, we sent it several times to you. And we also, every time we set up a consultation, we go over just snippets of everything. So we're all on the same page.
Yeah,
so it's coaching.
Yeah, that comes back to setting the expectations, like what you talked about earlier. It goes back to, underselling, over-delivering, and even more so, making your client feel like family. You're making them feel comfortable and included and cared for.
Correct. And like going back to what you just said, it's building the trust. Think about it.
Yeah.
If you build that trust, it's going to be so much easier to sell. And like, you got to be genuine about it. Don't be a jerk about it. I see. So I do some mentorship, and sometimes I sit in some consultations with them, and I'm like, why would you say that? Why would you do that? Like, because they kind of went by either my format or by someone else's format. And it's okay to take bits and pieces, but don't try to emulate someone else that you're not. So for me, I have a very sarcastic and really, I like to have a good time. I like to laugh. My sarcasticness doesn't work with all clientele. And usually the clients that come and book me, they know I'm sarcastic. They know for a fact, if you annoy me, I'm going to tell you, why are you being annoying? I just took care of you. Let's move forward. Let's go. So right. I kind of get away with stuff like that. Certain people can get away with that. There's certain, like for example, there's certain clients that are very serious and they're very particular what they want. They don't want someone that's always laughing, someone that's always out there, or someone that's very outspoken. So those are the clients I don't book. And it's okay, because those are the clients that don't want me. And I think that's the reality of it. I think for everyone is there's always going to be a particular person for you, particular client for you. So and this is where you have to look out for those red flags. And I learned that, years down the line, being in my career. I used to try to take everyone, and the ones that I used to just take everywhere, left and right, those are the ones that really became an issue. It really, really became a nightmare in my career. So, but yeah, I mean, that's about growing, right? So.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah. So
Yep.
yeah.
Cool. So this is the point of the show where I ask you to look at your business, your workflow from like a 30,000 foot view down. As somebody who is traveling a lot, this should become. You're familiar with that view.
Yes, very much.
So look at your business from top down, and you've got as you mentioned, a whole bunch of genres in your business. But let's pick one, for example. If you can give us an outline breakdown of your workflow from lead to delivery for one of the genres of your business.
Okay. Let's talk about fitness. Fitness. So we're in charge of one of the largest amateur bodybuilding shows in the Northeast. We had this amazing opportunity, and so we started 2021. It was I never thought I'd be doing this like as a main career. I'm sorry, a division in our business, because one, I hate high volume. That's one. Two, you just never know who you're gonna be working with, And on top of that, fitness, I'm like, Also, my wife is a bikini competitor, so she competes. And, between her and multiple other competitors over the years, they were like, well, you got to get involved with this. I'm like, I don't want to get involved with this. I like to really get to know my clients before we photograph them. So long story short, we submitted a portfolio. There was over 500 photographers that submitted for this opportunity. We were selected because of our portfolio and our expertise and so on and so on and so on. And we... About 2 weeks before the show, and guys, this is about creating value. I think that's one thing that it's nice that you do amazing work and then you have a price sheet, but if you're not creating value for our clients or a company, you're just like everyone else. So how can you separate yourself from someone else? So for us, it was really important to bring value to this league, and we kind of went into it as a partner, not as, hey, I work for you, which we don't. We created a partnership. And we gave them different options and opportunities how they can make even more money. And they appreciated that. And also we helped create marketing material for them. Did we get paid for the actual marketing material? No. But we knew the long term behind this. So for us, for any company that we work with, we always try to see how we could help them in some way or another. And for us, it was important to create this value for them and for customer service. So going back to, our workflow, we really took advantage of, artificial intelligence for this kind of stuff. And this is where Imagen really came into play. It saves us so much freaking time. It is insane how much time, because who wants to sit there and process each single image? I personally don't. I mean, my team members don't, because that time they could be focusing on different avenues on our business to actually generate money for us. So yes, you might be dishing out a little bit of money using certain kind of softwares out there, but it's going to make you times 10 or 100 more. Mm-hmm. So I steered off from the question, as always. Sorry, guys, I'm a little jet lag. Allergies is going on right now. And I'm on some pain medicine. So yeah.
So when you these fitness competitions, they come in or like they're just assigned to you. Like you don't even need to try to get the leads. They just come to you and say, hey, here's the next one that you're photographing.
Yeah, so let's be transparent, because I know there's going to be people sitting there. That's one thing. I like YouTube or podcasts in general. It's kind of like you're opening your can of worms to different things. So let's not use the word give or or it was given to. No, we have to work our butts off to get where we are. Even though yes, the opportunity happened. Yeah, so a show could be anywhere between possibly 200 competitors to possibly 1,500 competitors a show. So every time when they're on stage, we're capturing them straight on. So that's one photographer will be capturing. Another photographer will be capturing a different area of a different angle of the show. So just it's indirectional shots. Then we have another photographer that does the same thing. Then we have another photographer that does something else. So we have multiple crews that are out and just capturing different angles. So when it comes down to that, it's harder because now the lighting becomes very inconsistent. Especially depending on the camera that we're using, or the focal length. As we all know, if you shoot a wide angle lens and you convert it to a long lens, you're going to start losing light because there's more elements in that lens. So sometimes we're moving so quick, we forget to kind of adjust in that way. So this is where Imagine really played a very big part in our workflow, because now, like you said, if there's a misfire, it brings it close to where you want it to be. And really, it saves us so much freaking time. But yeah, the workflow is pretty much, we shoot everything. We have a file management team member there on site, and she's downloading everything for us. She's organizing everything for us. And from there, we run a process using software called Aftershoot. And that has been saving us dramatically, narrowing down how many, like, for example, we shot, let's say 1,000 shots. It narrows down to the top, I don't know, let's say 300 shots. And then from there, that's when we bring it into Imagine, and it does its work. It does exactly how we want it. Yes, we had to teach the software. Yes, we had to teach Imagine. I see sometimes people on, I guess, the community pages, it's not really working because you have to teach it. You have to show them your style. Everyone, I feel like these days, just in general, we have to crawl, and from there, baby walk and run. Everyone wants to just crawl and run. So it's just like going to the gym. This is why profiles play a very big part. If you do weddings, fitness, family portraits, and so on, if you want to get abs, you get abs. You're not going to get abs by doing, pull-ups. You need to do certain kind of workflow. So it's the same idea. So going back to that, once we do that, then we import everything. Then we retrieve the information from Imagine, and then we export it. And this whole process honestly takes no more than, I don't know. I mean, depending on the job and how many competitors, it could be an hour. It could be possibly, 6 hours, depending on that. Because, yeah, it sounds like a lot of time, but for what we're shooting, we're photographing a lot. So think of it this way. It could be, one camera could be anywhere between 15 shots to 20 shots. Another camera will be about the same. So now you times that by one competitor. That's a lot of shots.
Yep.
And you're dealing with high volume, and the goal is always to upsell, not to give things away. Everything that we do is purposely designed to be upgraded. We want them to upgrade as much as possible. And think about, I'm sorry, you were about to say something?
I was going to ask, so these clients, are they only wanting digitals, or are you trying to upsell them to prints too? Like, how does that factor in as far as, I'm curious what the upsells are, like, and the delivery process, like what they are hiring you for, like as the product, right?
Yeah, that's a great question. Look, every genre has a certain thing, needs and wants. Right. We originally got into and look, guys, take this as a grain of salt. There's always going to be, people telling you, what you're doing, it cannot be done. They will never buy. Or my local area, they can't afford it. And that's all I hear all the time. And to be very transparent with you, that's just an excuse. You're creating these detours. There's people, like, for example, I had a client about, it was back in 2012. The client didn't want to spend any money. Their wedding, when they originally contacted, they were going to have it at a bar. Okay, So if you guys do a little homework on what we do, our majority of events are like at the Waldorf, at the Plaza Hotel, very niche stuff at the Breakers in Florida. And we got this client out of nowhere, and they originally were a guest at one of the high caliber events that we've done, and they got married at the venue was going to be at a bar. They spent like no more than, let's say, $2,000. That was the max. They contacted us. They went over the pricing and all that. So I don't like to bring up numbers in general because obviously we're I know the average, I think they did a whole study back in 2017 or 2018. The average studio is 25 to 3,500 bucks. That's what they book photography for. In New York and major cities is different because the pricing is different.
Right.
So they booked us for still photography at 16K. Now the question, what the hell can you get for 16K? So obviously there's the products, there's reputation, there's, also there's a supply and demand. There were certain events that we were allowed to do. We only take no more than 20 weddings a year. Obviously if COVID when it hit, if we lost the weddings, what do you do? But this is why we always had to pivot and do multiple different things. Mm-hmm. So, two of my assistants at the time, going back to the client, I'm like, this client's not going to go for it. I'm like, go for what? This is our pricing. No, well, the reception is at a bar, I'm like, it doesn't matter. This is the rate. We're not going to change it because they get whatever. Sure enough, they booked us. And after the meeting, I'm like, quite curious to know why did you book us? It doesn't make any sense. The most important thing they said to them was photography. The money that they could have spent at a venue for 100K, 200K, 500K, they'd rather just take it and travel the world and buy something in Venice, Italy. So never assume what people say or, people suggest things. So that's a little quick story on that. So going back to the fitness, everyone said no one's going to buy prints. No one's going to buy wall art. They just want digital files. Okay, well, I'm big into prints. So when we started offering and showcasing it, and it made it easy for the competitors to buy prints and wall art pieces, and also opportunities for them to buy a gift card to do a family session with their loved ones that dealt with, let's be transparent. My wife is a competitor. I love her to death and all that. But when she's in competing mode, she's a pain in the ass. I love her, but she's just a freaking pain in the ass. Everywhere we go, I have a lot of clients, that they own restaurants and bougie stuff, and we could get to try some really cool different cheeses around the world. We can't do it because, she's very particular on what she eats. So she usually just goes there. And if you guys have puppies out there, dogs, it's kind of like she's sitting there watching you eat, and smelling it. That's how it is. So, so we started really incorporating wall art and pieces, and no one ever said that they will spend that kind of money. And sure enough, they're spending the money because it was never shown or offered to them. And what we started doing as well at the shows is displaying the work that we do. So now it came from digital files, and again, the turnaround time on the digital files are anywhere between 4 to possibly 6 weeks after the show. And the problem with that is that sometimes these competitors are competing every weekend or every 2 weeks or 3 weeks. So by the time they get those images, or by the time they have an option to order it, they don't want them because they're already old.
Right.
So because of after shoot and imagine, and also creating that structure in our business to get things done quick, these competitors are getting their stuff within 48 hours of show. And that's pushing it. Right now, our turnaround time is really about 16 hours after the show is over. And we're also doing highlight images and posting them during the time of the show. So it gets them like, oh my God, what are my shots up? So now they share it on their end. And this is where we take advantage of social media. You could collab with someone. Mm-hmm. Now their friends are seeing it because they're on stage as well and they're competing. And now they want to purchase and buy those images. So we kind of want to be like the virus in a way, like, oh my God, we got to get it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So because of that, we've been selling so many prints and leads into so many good opportunities, because that's also how we get into other markets. Some of these people are in the medical field, some people are lawyers, some people are teachers. So now we tap into those circles. So just like, I'm sure majority of you guys do wedding stuff, but think of it this one. You go and photograph a wedding. Yes, you're photographing the bride and groom, but you're also photographing the parents, the sisters, the brothers.
Right.
Let's take advantage. I want to say take advantage. You want to create opportunities. All right, if you create this amazing experience for everyone, tap into what they do for a living, because that's going to lead into so many great opportunities. Mm-hmm. Maybe the person is in the corporate field. They might need a headshot. Give them a headshot. Hey, I saw your headshot on LinkedIn. You know what? I think we could do something very special for you. Come into the studio, we'll photograph you, and if you like it, awesome. If you do like it, recommend us to your circle or to the person in charge of the management department of your circle and get you in. So that's kind of like that's a little taste of the workflow and also the business aspect in mind. So I know there's a lot of information. So, yeah.
So I have a one short story, but I also have a final question about that. So I'm going to start with the question first. Let's start with the question. The question is, you mentioned earlier that with families you do tethering. With these fitness, are you tethering, or is it too high pace to do tethering and you have like a memory card runner?
Run! They're on a Segway. They're on a Segway. They're on a Segway. So, yeah, you know what? We've seen other league photographers shoot tethered. We personally don't. Again, we're like one of the very few. Well, not. I mean, I know there might be another studio might be out there that does multiple crews. We're probably the only crew, and it's been stated by the federation that we actually come in with a whole team. So we have multiple crews. So it's kind of hard to tether all these cameras in one. So we do, we have a tether person we have a SD or CF card reader, a person that runs around and grabs the cards and dumps them. So we're all like, we have walkies, it looks like it's funny that we have the judges that say we're like SEAL Team 6. Yeah. We have hand gestures, we have this, we like, something goes wrong. Yeah. I'm like, I need backup. It's a code red. And that just helps us really, stay organized, focused. We're very well dressed. And I think at the end of the day, you have to have a format and like anything and a structure base, and it will make life so much easier. But yeah, no, I wish we could tether. The thing is, it's so fast paced. We just don't have time.
Yeah, it slows you down in a super high speed situation. I mean, I photographed okay, so I'm getting into a story before I even share the story I wanted to share. I photographed before I joined the karate school that I train at. The founder of the school, who passed during the pandemic, not from COVID. His birthday would have been today actually. He was working on his second book, and he asked me to photograph it. I was introduced to him, and then he asked me to photograph it. And these were like, he didn't want like a punch to be like slow, like capture. He wanted like to do the full thing and me just do it, right? Photograph the whole thing. So I actually rented a Nikon D4 at the time, I think it was, and had a strobe that could actually keep up with it. And I wasn't wired. I wasn't wireless. I was wired. I was tethered. So everything was going well. But then the tethering to the computer actually slowed things down more than the actual strobe slowing things down. So that's one short story for you. What I wanted to share the story-wise before was I was photographing a family session a few years ago, and their son is a cute kid, and they wanted him to get into acting or modeling or something, and they said, could you do headshots? And I'm like, well, I got my lights that I can do headshots, and there's a white wall in the venue that we're at. They actually did the family session where they got married, so it was a beautiful venue that I was able to take advantage of. And so I did the headshots, and I was able to I did them right then and there because I had the lights, and I was able to upsell headshots on top of a family session. Not by saying come back to the studio, but just by readjusting my entire lighting configuration and my, what lens I had on, and making it work. You just, think on the fly and make it work.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I think that's when it comes really to experience. I notice that people always want the settings on social media or wherever or conferences. You can't always apply those settings to every scenario. It's more the theory behind it. And, there's always people going, oh, well, I could have done that shot, or I could have. Yeah, but the thing is, you weren't there, so you don't know exactly what was happening. Right. The obstacles and like for you, like you adjusted it, you made it work, and I think that's where it is. When people are on the pressure, that's when you get to see when they shine.
Yeah.
I try to set up at least once a month. Before it was more, but we just got really busy. But we used to do training sessions once every 2 weeks with the team members, and they will come in. Obviously, we split them up. and we put them in scenarios where it's high pressure. For in other words, I'll be the client or the event planner. All right, you have an hour to get the shots, but now then I drop it down to like 2 minutes. Like, how would you adapt to that? And that's the biggest thing, is because more you prepare, more you understand how your gear works, what are the limitations on it, what can you do? Let's just say, you're a photographer and you have an assistant, and let's say the assistant, something happens, he can't be there. How do you adjust for that? What do? You can't have a double light anymore. So you'll bring extra light stands and you set up extra lights, and then you set them in a room. So now when you get to that room, you turn on that flash and you're ready to go. So it's just adapting and, thinking outside the box. And I commend you for making those adjustments, man. So, I mean, like I said, this is all about experience. Like I said, every job I go to, there's always something that goes wrong, and 99% of the time everything goes right, but is when that 1%, that's when is going to determine on what to do. Like, let me give you an example. Like on Saturday, we do photography, we do video, and we also do live streaming. So we're live streaming some of the big, pro shows. We do pro shows as well for the fitness stuff, and everything was perfect that day. Sure enough, and I kept on checking status, internet was great. Of course, during the peakest time of the show, the system stopped of live streaming. So mind you, this is a global show and everyone was watching and we're getting some great stuff. And of course, we still consider them newbies because we got into the industry last year, and everyone wants us to fail. I mean, not everyone. Of course. There's always going to be those few people that just wants us to fail in every way possible, and that's reality.
Haters.
And because, you know what? I like those because, they're the ones that gave me the fire. And, same thing when we got into the industry. People, they thought that we were retouching everything and enhancing everything dramatically in order to create those looks. I mean, no, that's in camera. That's learning the technology. We're not letting the camera do the work. It's understanding lighting, color temperature, and then obviously post-production plays a part in it. But now we have Imagen that really takes a lot of that BS out of the equation and the turnaround time. So going back to the live streaming, it went down. And it was out of our reach of our control. So now the question is holy shoot, what do we do? And this is why it's really important to have a great relationships, not only with your team members, but the people that are outside our circle. So we have a great relationship with the MC on the mic. Because there's a commentator, MC, every time when a competitor comes out, she's mentioning their names and who they are, whatever. And also the people in charge on the stage. So when you have this great relationship with everyone, you're building that foundation, that family-wise, and you let them know, hey, listen, the system just went down. We will need about 10 minutes to reboot. Can you stall? Not even questioning about it because they know how we work. We'll get you it. And they literally kind of detoured everything. Not detoured, but they kind of, brought up the schedule for the year and this and that. No one at the show noticed that something went wrong. And again, that wasn't even us. It looks like the system just shot. Whatever live streaming mixed in with the electrical part. So it looks like there was an electrical issue at the venue. So the reason why I'm bringing that up is take advantage or, build a relationship with other people, because when shit hits the fan, those people will come and help you out, right, and vice versa. And it's all about building that rapport and those relationships. This is how we met, right? We contacted you and Ron and we stayed in touch. Actually, Michael Anthony put us in touch. We wanted to see if you guys could help us out. In the beginning, we weren't really sure. Like anything else, when you first started a new journey, you kind of hesitate. You have 20,000 questions. You're unsure. You're stressed out. But you guys really guided us the right way, and you answered a lot of the questions. So, and I really, really appreciate that about you guys. You guys have great customer service, and I'm looking forward to see, and also excited to see what you guys will come up with next. So,
Thanks.
Thank you for that.
Awesome. Thanks.
We're
gonna be wrapping this up, but I have 2 questions for you. One is deep, but I'm gonna do that one last. So the first one is related to what you were just talking about, sort of. What does the future of AI and photography look like to you?
I think it is an amazing. it's an amazing opportunity because just embracing technology. I come from the film days. I shot media format during the film days. I shot real jobs, paying jobs, film days. Been in the industry a long time. And when there was opportunity when digital first started coming out, yeah, I was interested in it, and I got to dabble, and eventually, I bought my first digital camera. I believe it was the Canon 20D, and started shooting film in digital. And I started seeing, yes, there was up and downs about it, but it was like a no-brainer. So I think these days we have to embrace what's out there, and if we're not, we're going to be left behind. I never want to be considered, oh, well, and I'm sure you guys all hear, oh, that old school guy still shoots the same. Oh, he's complaining about he's not getting paid. Oh, he's complaining he's not getting work. And the reason majority of the time that's the case is because we're not being up to date with things. So yeah, I think AI technology is amazing. For me personally, there's certain things I'm kind of worried about AI because I used to work with the United Nations and some private clientele that, how do you make that work? And that also comes up in my clause. So that's a question that we need to talk about as well. But also with this AI, it makes it really accessible to many people, not only just photographers, but to many others to get into our industry. And in a way, it's kind of good because now if newbies are coming into our industry, now the question is, are we going to complain about what they're doing and what they're charging, or we're going to elevate in what we do? We're going to create more value. We're going to bring more to the table, and we're going to just create just overall a great experience. So exceed the expectations and give them a reason not to look elsewhere. Well, think about it. When you think about this, one example, I know we're making this long, but it's like going to a store and you're really particular on something at a store and they don't have it. What are you going to do? You typically will go start looking someplace else. And next, you find something that you really needed and wanted, you find it, but you also see something else that they have, which is cool. Now it's kind of hard to go back to the original store that they didn't have what you wanted, but you like the new store because they were just easy, nice, down to earth. So it's kind of hard to go back to that other store. It's no different from a restaurant. So same idea. Like I have my own Cheers. I don't know how young you guys are, but or old. But I used to watch this show and everyone knew your name, Cheers. So it's kind of like that. I have no problem spending the money there because of the relationship and the rapport that I have with them. And no matter what we do in general in life, doesn't matter photography, video, real estate, we're building relationships. And that's my biggest tip for you guys is build solid relationships because it'll lead into so many things. I know it's not sexy. Lighting is sexy. Imagine is sexy. But building relationships will keep you in business and plus. So, yeah, I think that's for me. That's, hopefully I answered that question. So.
Awesome. Okay, my last question, which is deep, and you have touched on this briefly, but if we can sum it up, how did Imagine impact your life?
Gave me time. To be honest with you, very, very much time. I gotta admit there was a point in being transparent. I mean, you already know I'm very transparent as it is. Sometimes it gets me in trouble. Gets me in trouble also with my sponsors too. I'm like, whoa, you can't say that. I'm like, why? Because everyone's so sensitive. Like, cut it out. Cut the bullshit. There was a time that let's bring up the fitness part. I could bring up several different, but we were shooting so much, and I'm like, the problem is some of the locations that we're shooting, the lighting is not the best. So we have, sometimes, again, even last year was hard because we were still getting out of COVID. So a lot of these shows, they didn't have the budgets that they originally had. So they had to bring some of these shows to not the best locations. So they have a lot of these high hat lights coming in. So for example, if a light is coming down harsh here, but no light coming here, and a harsh light here, and there's a competitor here, and a competitor here, and here, what's going to happen in between that? I'm going to be very dark, or this person will be very dark here on my right or left. So it was annoying going to every single image, trying to adjust it back and forth. So, some of these shows, we're photographing anywhere between, let's say, at the lowest, 6,000 photographs to possibly, like we just did a pro show this past Saturday, we had close to 16,000 photographs. And mind you, that's between 4 photographers. And I wasn't even shooting. I had my team members shoot. because I was doing some other things and building relationships so we could get gym contracts and branding shoots. So imagine sitting there and trying to adjust all those images at night and trying to deliver them within a matter of 48 hours. For us, the biggest thing is for me is if I say we're going to execute it at a certain time frame, we're going to do it. And because we're also still building and creating building that trust in our brand that, hey, if we say 48 hours, the images will be ready, they'll be ready. Mm-hmm. So I was spending maybe 2 or 3 shows just in the middle of the night just doing them. I'm like, oh my God, not just me, but Joey and the 2 team members. So when Imagine came into the play and we started taking advantage of that, I'm like, I literally, imported the catalog into Imagine, let it upload, showered, went to bed, woke up, and like, hey, Will, they're ready. So, bitch, go have fun. It was like the best thing ever. It was like, oh my, and I was like, this is bullshit. This is not ready. There's no way it could be ready. There's no way it could be ready. So I downloaded it. I checked it out. I'm like, holy shit, they're ready. They're freaking ready. I'm like, this is bullshit. I'm like, no. I kept on going. No. There has to be 1 or 2. No. So I was like, all right, let me export some. So I exported a few randomly because, if I went to export the whole job, it would take at least 6 hours or something like that. Mm-hmm. And sure enough, everything worked. And I was like, oh my God, like that was it. I called my team members. I think it was like 2 a.m. They're like, it worked. I'm like, what are you talking about? It worked. I'm like, well, we'll talk tomorrow. I'm like, no, it worked. And sure enough, after that, we started just using it for every show. And it was like, and I know this is a podcast for you guys, Imagine, and people are listening, oh, well, that's bullshit. They just have them on. I'm like, guys, no bullshit. Just try it out, teach the software, upload as much as you can, more information that the software Imagine could read and understand, it'll be easier. And like anything else, there's no perfect, software out there. There's no perfect you out there. Understand there will be hiccups, and I see that. Like, there's always going to be a hiccup in some way or another. Unless you're a perfect human, then it's a different story. But
that's the thing that people don't realize is, and we try to say it as much as we can, that it's like sending to a human editor. It has to learn from you, and it's going to take time. It's not. Yeah. It's not a magic bullet. It's gonna take time.
Yeah, it's gonna take time. I mean, look, and if it's messing up, you gotta look yourself in the mirror. Look, I'm not saying like that's always the case. Mm-hmm. There's always that small percentage that, and look, technology is awesome. When you have a machine that does something, majority of the time it won't work if it breaks down or something that we did something wrong. But it's also, sometimes things happen. Sometimes there are glitches. I found out 2 glitches from different kind of softwares in the past, and no one believed me. Like multi-million-dollar companies, I'm like, there's a glitch in your system. I'm like, no, no one reported it. I'm like, okay, sure enough, it went in public recently. I'm not mentioning the company, but like, sure enough, there was a glitch in the system. Mm-hmm. So you just never know. But at the end of the day, you just got to be open-minded. And again, this is a new journey for the industry. Yep. So there are going to be quirks. Everyone's learning, just like you. You're learning about gear or lighting business. The same thing with Imagine is learning. So just be open-minded and also give yourself wiggle room. Another thing I always notice in conferences or when I see online, and this program or this lighting or this, it sucks and it doesn't work. I'm like, okay, when was your shoot? Oh, was that Thursday? Okay, when did you get the gear? That Wednesday night. No shit, you're not used to using the technology, so you're going out there, kind of testing this gear out on a real job, and majority of factors is people complain, but they're not reading the manuals, they're not taking time to educate themselves on the gear or the software. So be mindful of that, and I feel like these days everyone just wants to pass the buck.
Right.
Just slow down, relax, and and look, I'm guilty of that years ago, and do I get like that sometimes? Yeah, I do, but. Own up to it, apologize for it, So I feel like there's more people that will complain on social media or on Google reviews instead of, hey, we had an amazing time at this restaurant. Thank you. I highly recommend it. Give it 5 stars. Instead, -1 or what? It's like, come on, be a better human. Be kind, be nice, be kind. Because when you're kind, as we all know, it goes a long way.
Yeah.
And I'm all about that. It doesn't matter how much money you have in your bank account, what you drive, or who you're related to, or if you have nothing. If you're kind, it goes a long way. Not only just reputation, but you get to sleep better at night. So yeah. But
sure.
So that was deep, huh? That was deep.
That was deep. So, Will, where can our listeners learn more about you, connect with you, and of course, see your incredible photography?
I mean, guys, if you could just go on Google Will Cadena, Will, last name Cadena. You can see some of our stuff on our site, Instagram. Like just recently, we got our fitness page on Instagram got hacked. I have no idea how that happened. We had a crazy password set up and they hacked our IG. So I'm hoping to get it back so you get to see more of that. But yeah, you get to see some of our work, and majority of the stuff that you will see is in camera, and a lot of it is done by Imagine. So, and we appreciate you guys back in Imagine, and I'm looking forward to see what you guys create in the next few months. So, but thank you for having me on the show, and thanks for everyone for listening and taking the time. I appreciate you guys.
Thank you so much, Will. Thank you, Will, for that incredible conversation. I hope all of you listeners walked away getting some juicy knowledge and advice from Will's workflows. We've talked about a whole wide range of things, and it was such an incredible conversation. You have been listening to Workflows, presented by Imagine. To hear more from Workflows and to find a link to our guest, please go to imagen-ai.com/podcast. Be a part of the conversation by joining the Imagine community at imagen-ai.com/community. And be sure to subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time.